Hi everyone, Deb here with Dahlia Designs Jewelry and More. I'm here to share what I've made from the June 2023 Potomac Beads Treasure Box kit, subscription kit every month. The information on how you can get the subscription kit is down below. Please use the link to the website for at Potomac Bead Co. And that will, let them know you came from my page, all that kind of stuff. So this is sponsored. Potomac Beads sends me the kit each month, and in exchange for doing an unboxing, which I'll try and put in the iCard up here in the upper right corner, I think it is, and then also either a tutorial or project share or whatever. This is going to be a combined mostly project share, but then we're also going to make the second one of this earring together. So we'll do that at the end. So I'm going to show you the pieces I made in the order I made them, and then I'll show you what I have left in the kit. This is the first piece I made. We got this wood pendant that had an indent. So, I'm a paper crafter, and I went looking through my paper for things that might go with it. And I had this sea glass paper pad. So I just got out like a actually I had to use a die. I think it was about 1 3/8 inch, and I had punched out a few things. I had these two flowers, they're the same except this has glitter on and this doesn't. But then I was looking at the leaves and the greens, and I thought, well, I think I'd rather use a paper that incorporates that if there's anything in here. And so I did find this one. So I cut out one of these, and it does have some glitter on, and I think it was this one that I used. So I got that little flower. I didn't get those other flowers on it though. Oh, this one, it was like this. So it didn't have those other flowers on, I don't think. Anyway, so I put that in, and I used glossy accents. I glued it down with glossy accents, and then I did put glossy accents over the top. And I tried really hard not to get bubbles. I was poking them with toothpicks, but I think I still got one. And I may need to do another layer, but I let this dry for 24 hours, and so it's in there, and it's good. But it could use another small layer. So, in the meantime, I strung this necklace, but I had to actually restring half to put this on, because this bail, maybe it opens, but I didn't want to open it. So I just strung it on. So I used all the copper nuggets, they were called, that were in the kit. There were 20 of those. I used a lot of the sage, and I think it was silver or crystal with sage. Anyway, those 8mm faceted fire polish beads. I used some of the little seed beads that look like lampwork, as one of my viewers said. They're clear with, it said sage, but they have a blue in them too, blue and green. And then some of the leaves. I only used 4 on each side. I did use rose gold plated copper crimps and copper colored, I think, beading wire. These were from my own stash, as was the chain. These are tiara cast rings. And then this is an oval. I used some oval. They're sort of not real oval. They're 7x6mm copper oval jump rings, and a bamboo shaped toggle clasp from my stash, and that's about it. So I just strung and added chain, and this one is about 18 inches in length. Let me bring it back up. I love it. I really love that one a lot, actually. And I thought this went perfectly with the greens and the leaves in this paper, so that was really fortunate. And these are just strung, these leaves are top drilled. They're just strung right on the beading wire. So then I made this one, and it's also just strung and strung, but I used the button in the kit, the antique brass button, and I sort of did a fringe with the leaves and also the 3 shells. If I was doing this over again, I would change a few things, but I actually started with this right here. And so I thought it would be in the middle, but it actually ends up hanging a little off middle. Anyway, I actually started from here. Do I recommend that? Probably not, but it worked for me because I didn't know where to start. So what I did is I left a tail and I went through this bead all the way up here, right? Um, I went through this bead. Actually, I think then before I went into this, I went back around this bead again to hold it in place. And later on, I reinforced it again at the end, that particular one. And then on the back, you might be able to see or not, I have 2 of the Indicolite bicones, and they hold all the strings in place on either side of the button hook, I guess you call that, hook and eye. Now, the thing is, my mistake was I thought I'd be able to get the beading wire still through there. But after going, and initially I could, but after doing all these strands, it became so tight and snug there, and those beads are smack in that loop, I could not get the beading wire through. So I had to think of something different. Anyway, if you don't know how to do fringe, you're basically just stringing on thread. I think I used Fireline Frost 8 or 10 pound, I can't remember. It's what I had in the lighter color. I didn't want to use a dark beading wire because it would show at the bottom of these. But basically you go, I just went through the bicones out the other side, down, and then I strung on going in this direction, wrapped around the outside of the bead and back up through. And I did a pattern on the longer ones. I did a pattern of 3 little pearls, 5 of the seed beads, the 8/0s, 3 little pearls, 5 of the seed beads. On these I did 3 pearls on either side of the leaf, then 3 of the seed beads, 3 pearls, and 3 of the seed beads. And on this shorter one, I think I did, instead of 5 of these seed beads, I did 3. So it was 3 pearls, a seed bead, 3 pearls, 3 seed beads, 3 pearls, 3 seed beads. So I just did that. Now for the beading wire, so then they were attached. Oh, and to finish it, I found my way back through this one, which still had the tail on it, came back down, went to the very end, tied a couple knots with that with the tail and the active thread, and then I put a little dab of GS Hypo Cement on the very end before I cut the tail and just the tail off, and then I used the active thread and went around the bead again and back up through, and then I tied a knot. I actually went through those bicones again and tied a couple knots over here and glued there too, just to be safe. So that's how I did that. Now let me see. The thing is, the beading wire does move in this slot. It's through the outer slot here. And initially I had it up like this. Sometimes it's down at the bottom, which I actually like it better that way, or in the middle even. So I have 5 seed beads on the front, I think, yes, and 3 out the back. And then I just did a pattern of the Indicolite bicones, the sage beads, the Indicolite bicone, the wood beads, and bicone, sage bead, bicone, wood bead. So I have 3 sage and 2 wood. Then I used these from the kit, the Nautilus rounds, which are like a dark green with forget if it's travertine or Picasso. I don't have the sheet right here. Then I did the same pattern as down here, up here. Then I added some seed beads here, and I did end this with a sage because I wanted to be able to tuck the wire back in there. And then these I found in my stash, which I've had since like 2012, and they are connectors, and they are called gold, but I had them in with my brass stuff because they looked more brass to me. And I thought they kind of went well with the Nautilus thing. And then I just did another, I was going to do wire wrapping, but I only needed like 2 inches on either side back here to make it 18. So this is 18, I think, yes, 18 extendable to about 20. And I used one little dangle down here. I love it. The clasp and all that, and these connectors were from my stash, as was the beading wire. So that is that one. I think it's really cool. This took a little time. Took me probably 2 hours because I'm a slow beader and I was trying to figure out what I was doing as I was going. All right, so that was the second piece. Then I did the earrings to go with it, and these are just lever backs with little shells on. You've seen me use them before, and it's a double dangle. I made them, they're about 2.5 inches long from where it goes in your ear to the end of the double dangle. I really like them as well, and they're very lightweight because the wood is very lightweight, and that will go with this necklace beautifully. And I think that finished up the wood beads for me. So then I really have been wanting to make one of these bracelets. I'll call it a finger bracelet or hand bracelet because the name that I knew them by before was a slave bracelet, and people don't tend to like that. I don't think it has to do with slavery necessarily, but anyway, we won't call it that. And I put a magnetic clasp on so that it can clasp down here easily. Now, this is tricky to make if you're trying to sell them because everybody has different size fingers. Everybody has different hand lengths. But I used the 2 angel wings that they called dragonfly wings in the kit. And initially, and I put one of the sage beads in. One sec. I put seed beads on either side of that initially, but it was too wide. But now I'm kind of wishing I left them there because these want to kind of touch each other and not stay put. But it's okay. I kind of think it's cool. So I just used those seed beads, the 8/0 seed beads, the 4mm indicolite bicone crystals, and I used the whole strand of labradorite, which I love. I think this one's going to be for me because I love it. I think it came out great, and I happen to have these little antique brass color magnetic clasp, which makes it easy for me to clasp it because I could see I would not be able to do that. I would be fumbling. And I did have some antique brass color seed beads, and we're going to use them for the pair of earrings we're going to do too. I didn't use wire guardians down here, and I kind of wish now that I had, but anyway, because this kind of keeps twisting a little bit, which is another reason it's going to be just for me. So that is something different. I've never made one of those before. And you start off, I watched a couple videos, and they were doing them either with beading thread or bead string, and she had measurements like 4 inches of this for the loop and only like 1.5 inches here, but I needed that a little longer. And I actually think I could have put a few more seed beads in here to make it even just a little bit longer, but I also only had 13 labradorite, and so you see I did actually have to add some beads down here at the end, and I see my tail is popping out there. There we go. Okay, so anyway, you have to try and figure it out. So figure out about how much it takes to go halfway around your wrist. That'll be one side. Then you need to know if you're beading wire will go through your beads twice, because in this section they need to. So once you go up here and through, right, you're going to come back down, and starting from here, you have to be able to get the beading wire or thread or whatever at least twice down through here. And then you're going to come around and do the other side. And then if it's not long enough, like mine wasn't quite long enough, you can add some beads at the end, which is what I ended up doing. I think it came out very pretty, and the back end kind of matches where it goes around your finger then with the seed beads and the bicones. Let me know what you think. First time I ever made one, I really like it. And then and I did these over a couple days because, you know, I had to let this dry and stuff, and while that was drying I worked on this one and this, and then I think I had to take a break for something else, and then I came back at night and worked at this. And then actually just before coming on to do this video, I decided I wanted to do another pair of earrings, and I was going to use some store-bought hoops or use wire, but I had some pieces of beading wire, like small pieces, sitting on my desk. So I thought I'm just going to use those and we'll do these together. So I've already strung this onto the beading wire, and all I did was I put this on first, and then on either side of it I did my design. So I have a little seafoam pearl, the 80 seed beads, the white 3mm or 2mm, whatever they are, glass, check glass rounds, the indicolite, and then reverse the pattern going up the other side. Now I will tell you, you do have to be careful. We're going to crimp this. I'm going to crimp it twice, and I'll tell you why in a minute. You have to be careful because I actually, the first time I did it, I broke one of the pearls. I thought the seed beads might break, but I didn't even think, you know, the pearls are glass too, and I actually broke one. So the trickiest part of this is right here, because, and you can, it's a design thing. If you want it to be a long loop like this, you can do that, but I chose to make mine tight, sort of tight, like a tight loop. I don't know why my lighting, it's a kind of a, no, the sun's out, but it seems really dark in here to me. Maybe it's my eyes, probably. Okay, so that's one of the tricky parts. The other one is this, I have these little antique brass crimp beads that I've had for years. I don't even know if I can find them anymore, but see, I have to put it down close to the beads, right? And it's crossing. So the trick is going to be to not have it cross, to keep the design, and also, now we are going to add another bicone, but to try and make sure these are the same width. It's approximately right, so it could be a little poofier there. There, I think that's it. So now I'm going to try and come in here, and I'll hold it up closer as soon as I get this in. I'm using my crimping pliers, trying to get that crimp. See, the thread is moving, so we have to keep pulling that up. The crimp bead is moving, so I'm putting it in there, but I'm not crimping it yet until I get that design back down where I want it, and making sure my pearls are clear of the pliers. And then I'm in that second groove in the back, I think. Yes. And I'm going to, no, maybe I'm not. Yeah, I am. Okay. And then I'm going to push down and hope I don't break my pearls. Okay. Okay, I got it pretty close. Now I'm going to try, let me make sure it's not going anywhere. I didn't do the best crimp job. I'm going to go back in a little bit, kind of do that again, and then I'm going to go to the front one. And these are crimp beads, and I don't prefer them, but that's all I had in antique brass. Okay, so I did that. Now we're going to leave both those threads together. So that is stable, it's not sliding. Let's double check one more time. And I guess here, I think I want, I think I want this more plain side to be the front because it is on this one as well. Well, that one doesn't have as much white, but we'll go with the more plain, not as much white on it for the front. That's going to become important in a minute. Now we're going to go through both of these with threads into the bicone. Now, and also I used a little bit thinner beading wire. This is I don't know, I'd equate it to a 7-strand thin. I'm not sure exactly. We're going to put another crimp bead on. Well, actually, before we put another crimp bead on, I'm going to cut off this one because it's already crimped, so it's stable. And actually, you could cut it off right above the crimp. In fact, I want to do that, I think, this time instead of going through both of them. And that way, whatever little bit is left, it can go into the bicone instead of sticking out the bicone. So I'm going to get as close to that crimp bead as I can, being careful not to cut the other wire, and cut. So that piece is over here. Now, so we only have the one wire. Let me make sure that's in the bead there. Okay. So now we're going to put the other crimp bead on, and we're going to go back down through that crimp bead and through the bicone, which is another reason to cut off the wire before the bicone, because you need room in the bicone to fit your other wire coming back down. All right, and I said this was going to be the front. And now here, this part is important because if you want your earrings to be about the same length, you need to make sure your loop at the top stays about the same, it's the same diameter. And I'm going to try and hold it. Let me hold it this way. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. See, this one is a little bit too big. I don't know if you can see that there. So I just have to pull it just a little bit more. And now bring in my crimp pliers, holding that in place, and crimp. Yeah, I don't prefer these crimp beads. And then I'm going to do the going around thing. And then let's check it one more time. I know it's crimped already, but yeah, pretty close, right? So now we're just going to cut that off as close to the bicone as we can because we don't want any bits sticking out hurting anybody. Then we'll bring in our other, you can use an ear wire. I happen to have these lever backs and I like them. And I'm just going to open the loop on the ear wire, on the lever back, slip my beading thread over it, close it back up, make sure it's sitting correctly, and there's our, well, there's our 2 pair of beaded leaf hoops on beading wire, without the beading wire showing except for the little loop up at the very, very top. Okay, so I know that was blurry and hard to see, but I hope I explained it well enough that you can follow along with that. And those are my projects for the June Potomac Bead Co. Treasure Box, Treasure Kit, I don't know, Treasure Box Kit. I can't call, I get confused calling it kit because they have another one called the Kit Box, which is actually bead weaving, mostly kits. Okay, so I had a lot of fun with this. I really loved these natural colors. I can't pick a favorite between any of these at all. I really wanted to try this. I love this indicolite color, and I love those seed beads that are clear with, it said seafoam, but there's blue in there as well. And the labradorite, I think the indicolite brings out the blues in the, look at that, Can you see the labradorescence? Excuse me. Anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed it this month, and I have to stop now because first of all, I don't have a whole lot left. I do have just those many of the 8OC beads and one of the sage beads. Just that many of the little 2mm pastel green pearls. I do have a number of these 4mm bicones, which don't worry, they will not go to waste because that is a beautiful color. I have this many, probably 2/3 of the white ones left. I used them in the earrings here and here, and in this necklace in the back here. And that's about it for where I used the white. I did not use any of these stainless steel pad posts. I just was not inspired by them this time. I'll definitely make use of these silicone clutches. And despite using the leaves, I have a lot of them left. There were 44 in here, and I said I had 32 left, but I believe now I have 30 left because these were an afterthought after I wrote that. And that's enough for another couple projects. I am thinking of just a tassel necklace with chain and these or something, but I think I'm going to save them for fall and bring in some of the reds that are in here. Ooh, I just got a thought. Anyway, this is what happens with me. The more I look at stuff, the more I think of different ways to use them. Let me know in the comments if you have a favorite piece, or if you like these pieces or don't like these pieces. But if you say you don't like them, let me know why. Yeah, I would greatly appreciate it. That will help me understand my audience better, and what you like and what you don't, and that kind of thing. All right, everyone. Oh, and also, do you wear longer earrings or shorter earrings? What's your preference? Do you like lever backs? Do you not like them? You prefer the ear wires with the pad on the back? Yeah, let me know. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Potomac Beads, for letting me participate. I'm continuing through the rest of the year as far as I know at this point in time. And yeah, we'll talk to you again soon. Hugs, love, and peace.